Hello and welcome to another episode of Project GTi at MicksGarage.com. Today we're finally getting around to repairing the crash damage on our Golf. So in the last video we were upgrading the intercooler on the Golf. We had the whole front end stripped off and we could have a good look at the extent of the damage behind the front bumper, and it was a bit more than we wanted to deal with. So we're going to hand the car over to Joey here in Crofton Motors, who are a professional body repair shop. And Joe's going to talk us through the various steps and the processes from handing the car over when it's all crashed and damaged, right the way through to you getting it back in showroom condition. So Joe, where do we start? What's the first thing that they're doing with our Golf?
Well, Rob, thanks for choosing us anyway when you had your little bit of a tip. I'm not sure if it was you driving, but whoever did. Look, the first thing that happens when a customer comes in here with a car that's damaged like this, you firstly have a quick look at it and an assessment of the damage. When we first looked at the car, we thought it was quite superficial, but then on further inspection we saw a few cracks in behind grills and stuff, and we noticed that it may be a little bit more substantial than we thought.
Sure, yeah.
So that's when we decided the first thing we'll do is we'll take the car in today and we're going to pull the front bumper off the car and just inspect it together and have a look and see. There's a couple of things that we want to look for. Front panel damage, there's a fiberglass front panel in here which is quite susceptible to damage. Yep. A couple of grills and brackets that mount the headlight and cause some alignment issues here. So we want to today take the car in, get it stripped and have a look and see what parts we need.
Okay, great stuff, let's get cracking.
So when we looked at the car initially with Rob, we identified obviously the bumper being an issue, and Rob had talked about it before, and the headlight too. But one of the things we see often, particularly with this Mark V Golf, is the fiberglass front panel. There's a couple of legs that sit around the headlight and are very susceptible to some damage. And as suspected, there's a leg here on the outside of the front panel which has taken the majority of the impact, plus also a guide here as well in front of the headlight. So both of those have been affected. And for that reason then we have to replace this entire fiberglass front panel. Not available in sections, you have to replace the entire thing. So Stephen here is doing his repair. He's repaired the bottom end of the wing right at the bottom of the headlight, and now he's going into the main repair of the actual wing panel itself. So here at Crofton Motors we try and repair as much as possible to metal finish. Oftentimes repairs will require some filler work and some finishing work, but in this repair the dents in the wing are small enough that most of them can be treated with a hammer, a dolly and some expert filing. So Stephen here is actively filing the repair and creating a visual low spot that he can see, and as he increases the aggressive rubbing with the file, he will take out that low spot and he'll be left then with a clean metal finish. After he gets to metal finish then he'll be able to prep and feather edge those areas at which he's filed to take out those low spots and to spread them back out to the paint. So then they'll be ready for primer after that. So as you've seen, our bodywork guys prep the panel. They feather out the panel using various grades of sandpaper, all the way from 80 all the way up to 320 grit of discs. Our next stage then was our painters to get their hands on the car, further prep the panel with 500, sometimes even a little bit more, into 800 grit sandpaper to prepare the panel for primer. Our next stage was to apply a few coats of 2-pack primer. After that then we pull the car out after it's been baked. Our primer is nice and hard. We have now rubbed that back with 500 in dry first of all, so the first thing we do is dry rub it. Our next stage now is to bring it into the paint shop where we are now, to wet rub the panel, clean it down and get ready to load it into the oven to shoot some paint on it.
Here we
So as you've seen, the car is now loaded into the oven. Next stage of the process is to pick the colour. For the car, it is a silver. It's called LA7W is the colour code for this GTi. Available to us with our Chromax paint system, we have 5 available shades on our fan deck. We've picked the one that we think is matching the car at best, and the next stage is to mix the paint, blow a test card and see how it looks. So in our shade that we've identified, as you'll see, the guys are mixing up the paint now. Most people just believe that a silver is silver. However, in that particular silver that we picked for LA7W, it also has a blue shade, a purple shade and a small bit of red. So it has a lot of different shades to make up that particular silver. We also have an aluminium shade as well, which goes in there to give it that nice sparkle. You'll see a mixture of very minute grams of paint going in, and then we've got our binder to mix it all together, and then we're ready to put it in the gun. So once the guys have identified that particular shade they want, be it with or without a drop coat, they apply their 3 coats of base, then their drop coat if they want it or not. They let that flash off, check for any imperfections to make sure there's no dirt, no major imperfections in the base coat. Once they're happy enough that the panel is clean and ready to go, they'll start applying lacquer. Lacquer coats normally vary between 2 and 5 coats of lacquer depending on the repair, so you'll see the guys applying the lacquer coat as long as they're happy with the base. So here is our completed car fresh out of the oven. It's ready for Stephen now to start building the car up. We've checked the panel for any paint imperfections, any dirt, and we've identified those which we will need to clean up and tidy up. We'll do some polishing and denibbing. That'll be done after the car is built up. So for now the car is ready for Stephen to start reassembling. So Stephen is first putting back in the headlight, checking the gap with the wing and the bonnet, make sure they're all good. The next thing on the agenda is he's going to lay out the 2 bumpers, transfer any of the old bits that are transferable onto our new freshly painted panel, replace the new bits that have been supplied by the guys in MicksGarage.com, and once again he'll check all of the lines, all the gaps to make sure everything is functional, all the headlight bulbs to make sure they're good. Then he'll take the car across and he'll aim the headlights to make sure they're focused correctly so they're NCT passable. And then the last thing he'll do when he has the car fully assembled is he'll run a full global check of diagnostics. When you have bumpers, headlights, parts disassembled, maybe rads dropped out, it's always worthwhile to do a full global check with our Hella Megamax diagnostic tool. So once all of that is completed, it's ready to go straight over to the valeting bay. Those little paint imperfections or lacquer imperfections we've identified will be denibbed and polished. They'll be brought through a 3-stage polishing system using our 3M refinishing products. Once that is all completed, we're happy the paintwork is absolutely clean. The car will get a good wash and a hoover, a general all over clean and a check-up, and should be ready to present to the customer.
So that's it, we're all done and dusted. It's fantastic to have the car back to its original condition, looking as good as new. Thanks very much to Joey and all the guys, all the technicians here at Crofton Motors. They've done an amazing job. There's a huge amount of skill and work and labour that goes into even a relatively small repair like this. The guys have some real kind of old world kind of skills and talents, like kind of panel beating and stuff like that. And all the huge amount of preparation that goes into it and a relatively small amount of time in paint. Like what's the
Well, yeah, and the paint in particular, the biggest thing is preparation is so important for the paint. So realistically, it's about 90% of paint prep time versus actually about 10 or 15% of the time is actually spent shooting paint and lacquer on a part. So really being prepared and having the right equipment and having the right set of skills is hugely important to allow us to create a proper manufacturer spec finish. So that's really important to us.
Great stuff. And the guys have done an amazing job. The net result is there, evident to see. So thanks once again to the guys here at Crofton Motors. That's it. Thanks very much for watching.